Hey, hello there, wrestling fans. Welcome to another episode and the last episode for Lucha Month. Thank you, Grandpa, for always lighting the way, and I want to thank all the luchas that I had a chance to get this year on Lucha Month. Next year will be bigger. I'm definitely gonna try to get more luchas, but let's not cry in our delicious soup or whatever you're eating or drinking tonight, Ringside crew, because I have somebody that I want to bring back on the podcast that I had on last year, and that episode was so much fun. She was just getting herself into the indies, and she's been doing so much now, and I had to have her back. I can hear the horns tooting now because let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome back for the Queen of Hearts, Scarlett Rose.
Hi, how's it going?
Welcome back, Scarlett. Like, oh my gosh, girl. Like, every time I look at my coin jar, I smile because I'm like, oh man, there's Scarlett. Yeah, buddy. She's doing so much. I can see all the stuff she's doing on Instagram. So, like, what have you been up to since the last time you were in the Dudes at Ringside studios?
Um, a lot. I've done a lot of shows. I've done a lot of traveling up and down California. I've traveled to Texas, I think, a few times. Um, so yeah, so that's basically it. I've just been traveling, making my rounds and wrestling all over California and promotions that I can.
Oh, that's cool. So cool that like the last time we spoke, you were just getting into it, right? You were just getting into the game. Like, so what kind of changes have you did in like your training or like within your like outfit and your gear since the last time we talked?
Um, so I started training. I don't think I was training with Brian Kendrick at that time.
No, you weren't.
No, so I'm training with Brian Kendrick now. So he's been helping me a lot with like the psychology and how to make a match make sense, because like you can do these moves, but if no one cares about doing them, so why would you do them then? You know, like if you set up these giant moves, but then everyone is just cheering because you did a giant move, then are you really like over with the fans? Like you kind of have to get the fans to care about you.
Mm.
You don't really have to do that much. If you get the fans behind you, you don't have to do these crazy moonsaults or whatever else that like a lot of people like doing, and like it's cool and fun and everything, you know, but if at the end of the day they're just like, oh, that's a cool move, and if they don't want to like come up to you afterwards or like tell you like, oh, I loved your wrestling or whatever, if they're like, oh, I just like that move that you did, then I don't feel like you really did your job.
Yeah, that's true. Like, as you just said, you're with Brian Kendrick. Like, what is the biggest philosophy that he has taught you that you didn't know before, like when you trained with other people?
A lot of his philosophy is like the psychology part of it, and that's what I've learned a lot, and that's what I was struggling with a lot when I was like starting off, is like I don't get why I would do this, or like how do I make this make sense. And that's kind of where I was kind of struggling with a lot, is like I don't know, what's this, what's that, like I was questioning everything because I come from a martial arts background, so I'm like, this sounds dumb, like why would I do this, like why would I go down like if someone's running at me. And it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be setting up for like a move. I'm supposed to be doing a back body drop, and the sunset flip is just a counter. So that kind of like helped me clicking like the links that like has faded away over time. Like professional wrestling like has certain parts like you know, the up and over, like the up and over, like I'm just charging at that person, but ultimately what I'm trying to do is like basically shoulder tackle the person, but the person is doing a maneuver to get away. So that's kind of like where he connects those parts of like, why would I just be chasing after someone? Oh, because I'm supposed to be like attacking them to give them a spear in the corner or like this and that, and then like how to get it like to make sense in the match, from like transitioning from the heat to transferring to your shine, like how to like kind of get those transition pieces. Like I knew all the pieces, but I didn't know how to make it make sense to get there.
Mm.
If that makes sense.
As a fan, it sort of does. I heard the up and over, and I think is the doing the leapfrog over the guy as they're ducking underneath you. Like, have you tried to do any other styles, like in hardcore or any stuff like that yet, or like you're not into that? That's not your ball game.
I'm not into hardcore because I don't know, like it's really hard on your body, and like
Hmm.
I don't want to get messed up. If that
Yeah,
makes sense. Like I don't want to like take tax or like get stapled or like light bulbs or anything like that. I'm like, it's
it also
not.
could ruin your gear. It also could
Yeah,
ruin your gear.
yeah. And then gear wise, I've created a couple new outfits, different colors. I have a black gear now. I have a gold gear, and then I have this like sparkly red, like one piece, like it's long, and then I have
Hmm.
like a skirt that goes with it that I wear. So I've changed up a little bit, added a few things. I always have my classic red suit that I always wear, but I just kind of decided to try new colors that are kind of in the scheme.
I have an idea for one because I know you always have these cool outfits that I always see on Instagram. You should have one that looks like vines going up, and on the top have like the collar like this, and have it like full through, but and make it like a jacket. So the rose is the jacket, and your outfit is like the vines, like the rose vines.
Yeah, I was just to find fabric that looks like that. That's nice.
Yeah, well, I guess it would have to be like, you know how you the girls have those shirts that look like they're like the lines. You can see the skin through it. Make the lines in the shirt like the rose, and your outfit could be like the jacket, like a trench coat could be like the roses, and your outfit could be like you're the vines of the rose, and you can make it like the jacket will have like a hood, and the hood will look like the crown. Isn't that
Yeah,
cool? Doesn't that sound really cool?
yeah. I just make everything, so I have to figure out how to do it.
Oh, jeez. You would have to put like a weird thing on top of the hood, so it looks like the thorns, like a thorn. Oh, no, that's not right. Make like a rose. There we go. The top of a rose on top of the hat. Make it look like a crown. You you probably have like estimated to me now. Like hey puppy, like how many outfits honestly have you made and masks have you made in your career?
I don't know. I lost count. Like, uh, I make a lot. I've slowed down a lot because I'm in school and I'm like a teacher now.
Oh
So
wow, congratulations.
yeah, so once I get through my school in like less than a year, then I'll probably be more active on making gear. But I finished one not that long ago, and I'm working on the second one for the guy, and it's almost done. But I've definitely slowed down a lot. But I the most I was making like probably 3 or 4 a month, depending on like the how complex it is. Because some gears are like really easy, and I can get it down within like 3 days, but other ones take a little bit over a week. Just depends on like my schedule and everything that I'm doing.
So like you're from like the West Coast, Pacific time, might I add. Like have you thought of coming over to like the East Coast, to like the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, like the Florida, like this side of the equator yet?
I just have never got any like offers, I guess. Like I don't mind traveling, but just because how expensive it is, a lot of people stray away from it because they would have to pay for a flight. Because I'm just like, that's gonna be a couple $100 minimum, and I'm like not gonna pay that out of my pocket for a wrestling show because that's a lot of money. So they have to kind of like figure it out. Like when I go to Texas, I get my flights covered and stuff. So like I don't really pay anything out of my pocket. So like if any promotion wants to do that, like I'm more than down traveling down to LA, got your flight from LA to wherever or San Jose because I'm like in the middle
Yeah.
of both of them, like either
Yeah.
airport. I don't mind traveling. It's just I've gotten like a few that wanted to book me like Midwest, like Midwest, yeah,
Mm.
and they're like, oh well, oh that's an expensive flight, and I don't have the money. I was like, I get it. I 100%
Yeah.
get it. You know, it's expensive.
It's sad because like you're such a good wrestler, and like there's so many. I know there would be so many young wrestlers that I know that you'd be able to talk to because like backstage nowadays there's either the old grizzly veteran that's been there for like 21, 22 years. Like I know you've probably been in a locker room with a lot of the older like veterans that have been in the indies. So like what kind of advice do you when you meet them, like what kind of advice do you ask them?
I think it depends on who it is. I've talked to Brian a lot because I've spent a lot of time with him, like at shows and stuff like that. So I talked to him about like how it is, like in bigger companies or like his experiences, like what he would have done different. You know, like if he could redo it, what would he have done different? And like I think like outside of Brian, I kind of ask him like what their path was, like how did they get to those big companies and stuff like that. And they kind of like, oh, you know, you just have to have like the grit, you have to work out, you have to have the look, you have to do this, you know. I'm like, I get all that, you know, but like how do you get someone to call you back? You know,
Yeah.
like if you send out an email or if you send out an application, like how can you get the people like to call you back, I guess.
Mm.
And then and probably during their time it was different, you know, than it is now. Like probably wasn't as easily accessible, and I feel like a lot of it, I guess now, is kind of like who you know. Like if you come from like a bigger school like that is more known and they like you, they're gonna push you more. They're gonna like if you work at I'm sorry, I'm blanking on a name, but it's like a if, oh my god, is Rikishi school down in LA? I can't remember.
I think it's in LA or because I
Yeah,
had a girl that wrestled at the school. She was there. I don't know if she finished, but she was part of the school. I forgot her name, but she was in the school. Um so when you're going like the week of a wrestling show for you, like what is your normal schedule like? What is your schedule block like?
I usually go to work most days. I go to work and I work out, and then I do wrestling training once a week, and then I usually head out to my show the day of and come back. It's pretty simple. Like depending on how many shows I have that weekend, sometimes I have two, sometimes I just have one, or sometimes it's local. So I just kind of like on Fridays, like I have Friday shows. I usually go to work unless I can't. But right now I go to work and then I get off of my work and head down to LA, San Jose. If there's a Friday show and go wrestle and drive back. Yeah.
Do you have any crazy stories from the ring that from any recent shows? Like funny crazy, not silly crazy, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Like, I know I got my back messed up or like a couple weeks ago.
oh
Like,
geez.
my opponent didn't call anything.
Ooh.
Yeah, I guess it's like funny to me, I guess, because like she told the promoter we were ready, and I was like, since when? Like we didn't even talk. We didn't even like discuss anything. What do you mean we're ready? Like they wanted us to go on first, and I'm like, in 10 minutes. I'm like, that's not enough time, and we have a language barrier. I'm like, you speak Spanish mainly, I speak English mainly. We both speak a little bit of each language, but I'm like, we are nowhere near ready.
Oh
And
jeez.
that resulted in me like not knowing what was happening. I already had my spot in my head like that I wanted to do, so I just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna do this and this and that. Like I just told her because I was thinking about it while she was getting ready. Like she wasn't even ready, like dressed when
What?
she told the promoter that she was ready in 10 minutes.
Like girl, no.
Right? I was like, you're not even dressed. Like you
She's
don't
gonna
know.
go out in a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt saying I'm wearing my gear. You're like, no, you look like a rookie. You look like a WWE default character.
Yeah, yeah. So it was just a mess. Like I was just like, And I did my thing. She forgot everything. She didn't call anything, but so I was like too up in the corner, and she took her knees and put like her weight on me, so my back went like this against the
Mm.
bottom buckle and like messed my back up like really bad.
Oof. Did you have to go for rehab, everything on your back, or?
I did like a deep tissue massage because she just like hyperextended it, so just like kind of like tweaked it a little bit, but it
Mm.
caused a lot of pain just because like the health issues I already had before that, like in my spine, because I had like hurts
Oof.
in it. So I just like amplify what I already had going on. But after the deep tissue massage, it helped a lot, and I did like a kind of a week of like not doing too much, like don't lift heavy, don't do anything. Like I was just kind of like taking it easy for a week, and then it healed up within a week.
That's important. You have to take care of yourself first because you do this stuff that we just us fans wish we could do. You guys go above and beyond. So, if my fans want to go out and they want to buy some Scarlett Rose merch, where can they find it?
Um, Good question. Usually at live shows, I do send them out if people send me messages and stuff like that through like Instagram or Facebook or anything like that. They can reach out to me and see what they want or what I have. Mainly, I sell most of it at shows. So that's my main thing because just shipping's expensive. You know, shipping's like $10. So you know, if they want to, I'd be more than happy to ship out stuff. If they're in California and want to go to a show, then they can go to a show and get some merchandise there. And if I travel again, then they
Hmm.
can get merch at the shows. I usually bring on a carry bag with.
Awesome. So, my last question for you, Scarlett, is if there was any male or female that like 18 or 19 that they want to get in the wrestling business to be either a wrestler or a manager or a ring announcer or a referee, what kind of advice would you give them?
Mm, if they're a wrestler, I would tell them that they need to be dedicated. I think with both of them, they need to be dedicated. They have to show up. They have to work. You know, they have to learn. Um, Even referees, because referees have to take bumps, so you have to learn how to take a bump. Because there's ref bumps. There's refs gets into situations. People will do moves to refs. So like you have to be prepared for anything, especially if you're a ref or a manager. You have to learn how to take a bump as a manager because I've seen managers get bumped and I've seen managers take bad bumps and get injured. And then for wrestlers, it's just, you know, show up every day that you can and try your best every single time. And any notes that any of your coaches give, try to apply that the best of your ability because that will go a long ways. I truly believe that, and if you can't learn if you only go once a month or if you go once every couple months. Like you will lose every single thing that you've learned if you don't continue to train and continue to get progress. So
Awesome. Thank you. I thank you, Scarlett. Thank you, Queen of Hearts, for coming back on the podcast to help me close out Lucha Month with a bang. Like it was really awesome to catch up with you again. Even though when we spoke, I think I remember your interview aired like in December. So
yeah,
this one's in September in the proper month that it deserves to be in because you wrestle in a lot of lucha community, lot of lucha
I
shows. So
do. I do. For some reason, I don't know.
I think
Like
they
I
see you because you're like you're up there. You're one. Have you thought about this, Scarlett? Before I go, leave this bubble in your head. Have you thought about this that you are technically like the future of the the lucha community?
maybe no. I don't personally like. I do lucha. Like I've trained lucha and I learned lucha, but I don't necessarily consider myself a luchador or like
Hmm.
or a luchadora or whatever. Like I
You're
do
one to me,
shows.
Scarlett. You're one to me. You're with the kid. You're with all the. Every time I look at the poster you post, and it's like you. You're like, and then behind you is like 50 or 60 luchas all like, and I'm like, she's all hanging out with luchas. I'm jealous.
I know. like, I love it. I love doing the shows. The communities are usually amazing. I love wrestling with the communities. I love wrestling with, like, in front of the Mexican community because that's where I'm from. Like, it's predominantly Mexican. So, like, I get it. I love it. Like, they love, they love me for some reason, and I get constantly booked because I know.
I think they like your energy. I could feel it. You're sweet, you're friendly. Watching your YouTube channel. So before we go, um like tell everybody how they could find you on all your places that you are still.
Yes. So Instagram is at the dot queen of underscore hearts with two S's, I believe. And I think Twitter is at SR Hearts. And Facebook, I don't have an app. It's just Scarlett Rose Queen of Hearts. And usually it pops up, hopefully. Yeah.
What about your YouTube channel?
I'm gonna
What
look
about
that up real quick.
huh?
I don't have it memorized.
Oh geez.
I don't have that one memorized because I usually just I post it. I post videos up there for myself, kind of like people can like go watch them, but like I don't really promote my YouTube because it's mainly to like store it for myself to like look back because that's why I have dates on everything, so I
Ah,
know when my matches were, so like I can see how I progress
you
through like.
should you should post like make it public because you know how many views you'll get on wrestling matches. There's wrestlers that have I have posted clips from matches on Instagram of wrestlers, and one of them has 400 and something views. Not, I don't. I know people just they don't do it for the views, but I think it's cool to show people what they're doing in places they
Yeah,
never.
I usually put clips. It's all my videos are public, but it's not like I don't promote it on my other social media. Like if people find them, like people find it every day. Because I'm like, if people ask me in my chat, like, oh, can I watch a video? I'm like, okay, yeah, this is my, and I'll send them a link of it. So it's at Scarlett Rose, the Queen of Hearts. That's
Okay,
that's YouTube. That's YouTube.
remember fans to go give her a nice follow. Hopefully, you're following the Joe Panther Variety Show for all things Dudes at Ringside Podcast, Twins at Ringside Podcast, Ghost Head Talk, and the Backstage Melee with me and my buddy Sabrina Subby. I want to thank you so much, Queen of Hearts, for coming back on the podcast again. Definitely everybody give her a big follow on Instagram and all of her other social medias. Thank you so much. Uh, to all the luchas that I've had, very very little this year, but next year I'll try for harder and more luchadors. I'm Joe Panther the Third,
I'm Scarlett Rose, the Queen of Hearts.
and we will catch you in the next one. Adios, amigos and amigas.